fact that these people are saying parents shouldn't have a say, that's pretty psychotic.
She's telling them to parent their kid, to school their parents. That's teaching kids to rebel against their parents. That's teaching kids that they have no safe haven. Their parents are not safe people in their lives. That creates trauma for our kids. That creates mental health issues. They should also care about our kids. Our kids are being shamed and canceled in schools because they want to follow their religious beliefs or because they want to follow what their parents are teaching them. The parents know best. The parents know their kids best.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News. We're on location at the second Million March for Children here in Calgary, Alberta. We've got our team at Rebel News right across these protests across the country. The focus of these protests is asserting parental rights and insisting that parents' relationships with their children, well, they aren't subject to the whims of radical progressives. As you can see, there is a massive counter-protest on location today. So far, with the protest set to start in about half an hour, there are just a few dozen protesters, but again, as I mentioned, dozens, if not as many as 100 LGBTQ counter-protesters already on location today, and quite a bit of police enforcement as well. You can find all our coverage of these protests right across the country at stopclassroomgrooming.com. I'm now joined by Mahut Mora, one of the event organizers. I suppose my first question for you is, the event was actually scheduled and you had a permit for it to take place right here. Counter-protesters have overrun the area and police are effectively allowing that to take place. Can you expand on that a little bit?
That's what I don't understand. They're supposedly to be in Olympic Plaza, but for some reason they came earlier and they took the place, and according to police, they cannot let them leave, even though we called it for our protest to be here in the first place. We have permit, but I believe they want to push us inside the city plaza. And we have some people who has a trespassing note by the city mayor, and we don't want our people to get charged or something. Right. So we're trying to take the street here. It's gonna be a little bit confusing, but I'm disappointed by the authorities that they cannot divide us. Usually they have one side for these people, other side for counter protest. Today they're having them on both sides, and we're still early because our number, we're supposed to be 1, 2 o'clock here. So I believe we will come, we'll outcome them. At the end, they are our kids, they are our brothers and sisters, and I believe they need help. It's okay, we are with them, we're not against them. Just want the freedom for everybody.
No one could hijack our kids. And I'll be honest with you, that noise you hear shouldn't disturb us. That's represent them, because just that's who they are in the reality. Just people to yap. People that talk, they don't walk, they don't rap. That's who they are. We all are hardworking Canadians. They live in social service. They get paid to come here. And maybe at 1 o'clock when the paycheck finished, they'll be leaving. So don't pay attention to them. And I want to tell you one thing. We will stand for our kids as much as it takes, and we don't care who will fight us. Because we are the parents. We are the parents.
It's all about parental rights. So why is the government forcing curriculum on children? I have the unique privilege of going through the public school system, the private school system, and the university school system. In each one of those, a gender ideology was pushed by the Alberta government, by the curriculum that's being forced down, and parents have no say in this. They must teach. And we're going so far away from learning basic skills like biology, math, trades, mechanics, all this stuff that you should be learning in high school. Instead, they're teaching gender ideology. Parents are no longer allowed to disagree with this for fear of being villainized, ostracized, canceled, called a bigot, hater, whatever. The government has no business in educating. I know this from history because I like to study history. The government should not be dictating curriculum. Parents should be. Yeah. So the fact that these people are saying parents shouldn't have a say, that's pretty psychotic in my view. that they don't want parents to have a say in children's curriculum. Why do they want an audience with children? In my view, you have to be pretty perverted to not want to have parents intervene in their own children's education. So we're here for parental consent.
The Supreme Court of Canada and courts throughout Canada have made it very clear that under the Charter Section 7 right to life, liberty, and security of the person, that parents have not only an obligation and a responsibility, but also a right to make choices for their children. Parents have a duty to love and nurture and protect their own children. And children do not have adult rights like what you and I would have. They don't have a right to drive, vote, join the military, consume cannabis, get a tattoo. And they certainly do not enjoy any privacy rights vis-a-vis their own parents. So it's a political claim that is legally inaccurate, and there's no basis in law for saying that children have a charter right to keep their own parents in the dark about what's going on at school.
The kids. It's like kind of a bad idea to just tell these to anyone that wants them.
The pro-sanity
Like, especially if they're
I'm a mother for 3 kids, so this is personal for me. I came to Canada to provide a better future for my kids. I didn't come here to co-parent with the government. I didn't come here for my rights as a parent to be taken away. My kids, if they go to school, and I can't even go to the teachers and tell them that my kids can't comprehend what you are going to be teaching them. It's going to create confusion for them. I am their parent. I know my kids best. I know what they can and they cannot handle. If you have a special needs child, you don't even have authority to go talk to the school and tell them that I teach my kids that there's only 2 genders, that if you teach them something else, that's going to create confusion for them. You can't, as a Muslim, it bothers me to hear 2 teachers here in Canada, one in Edmonton and one in Windsor, Ontario, scolding Muslim students because they missed out on a pride raising ceremony, and the other one because he skipped school and he went to the mall on the day that they're doing pride activities. Come on, you know. And she's teaching them that their kids are their parents are hateful. She's telling them to parent their kid, to school their parents. That's teaching kids to rebel against their parents. That's teaching kids that they have no safe haven. Their parents are not safe people in their lives. That creates trauma for our kids. That creates mental health issues. They should also care about our kids. Our kids are being shamed and canceled in schools because they want to follow their religious beliefs or because they want to follow what their parents are teaching them. The parents know best. The parents know their kids best. Where do they get the idea that the parents are not a safe haven for their kids? No one loves a child more than a parent does. This needs to stop. We're not co-parent. We don't want to co-parent with the government.
Well, it's up to the parents. In the end of the day, you gotta remember, it's not the politicians, it's the people. We, the people, hold the power, and it's up to us. Or how much do you care about the education of your children? Do you want your children to be indoctrinated, or you want your children to be educated?
Interesting, of course. Arthur Pawlowski always draws a cloud. Some of the counter protesters coming. What do you make of the fact that there are so many counter protesters and not that many protesters today?
Well, after the restrictions were over, people went back to their lives to rebuild what was stolen from them, right? So those people are the losers, and this behavior is just showing that they are lost people. They have no arguments. They are not interested in any debate. The only thing they know how to do is hate, yell, and scream. Try to have a normal discussion with those people. It's impossibility. Right? I don't know, maybe because they are jabbed 7 times, and they're not capable, or because they know what they're standing for is vile sexual perversion and they have no arguments. I think the second applies here, so that's what it is. That's the tolerance.
They are the biggest losers you can think of. They are perverts. Perverts have nothing normal to say. They have an agenda. An agenda is very clear. I was walking from there peacefully, and immediately when they recognized me, I was attacked by the hyenas. Because hyenas are afraid of lions. Lions, rise up. Lionesses, stand up. Stand up for your children. Stand up for your future. Stand up for their future.
You attempted to protest and were charged ultimately, some of those charges dropped, whatever it may be, for being outside and not even within the bubble zone, but outside of a drag library. Meanwhile, this protest has been scheduled for some time. Police effectively not intervening, allowing the counter-protest to take over the entire area where this protest was meant to take place. What's with the double standard?
Well, you can ask our mayor. Ask our mayor and the chief of police, Mark Neufeld, why he's enforcing it selectively. That is the contradiction of justice. You cannot enforce it selectively, otherwise justice is not served. Ask the Calgary police why they're not enforcing this bylaw. Ask the peace officers why they're not enforcing this bylaw. They only enforce it on Christians that are protesting drag events 60 meters away from a Calgary public school library. Whereas here you have, look how many of us, and no one's being charged.
It's just an obvious double standards that's taking place. You know, the government here in Calgary, they're discriminating obviously against Christians, and they're supporting this group of homosexuals and these individuals that want to be, drag queens, that want to pervert kids, and they're just teaching this, they're sexualizing our kids here, and that's why we're standing against that. And in the face of this tyranny, and we have rights here. We have freedom of speech, we have freedom of religion, we have a freedom to disagree with these people, and we're going to continue to do that.
Now, how do you think parents can reclaim education? Is public education salvageable? Is a change coming?
You know what? I'll tell you one thing. People asking peacefully. I'm not asking to be aggressive and stuff, but I do believe in management. I was a manager once, and we had course. Something you cannot change, you must break. And I believe the breaking point coming to a point soon here. People will do something to protect their children. I'm not sure when and how, but if the politicians want to keep blind and deaf, acting blind and deaf, people will act accordingly. Maybe some parents will take kids out of school. I know, as an immigrant, a lot of our people leaving country, and I believe some people have no choice to leave. They'll be defending their kids. What's the price? I don't know. What's the consequences of this push? Because everything has a level to vary, and I believe they're punishing it so much into our kids' throat.
Well, we see positive developments in New Brunswick and Saskatchewan where the governments are listening to parents and protecting parental rights. And as long as most provinces have a one-size-fits-all education system that tries to impose one particular curriculum and school system on everybody, you're going to keep on having political battles. We would see these kinds of battles like what you see behind us. Those kinds of battles would disappear if the governments provided equitable funding to parents to choose the kind of education that they want for their children. And then different parents would choose different schools for their children. If you're a parent and you want your 5-year-old to practice putting condoms on bananas, and that's the kind of school you want for your 5-year-old, I don't agree with that choice, but it's up to the parents to choose the education for their children. So these political battles are the direct result of an education system that is not sufficiently diverse. I know here in Alberta we have more diversity. True diversity is a good thing, by the way. We have more diversity here, but most provinces in Canada have a one-size-fits-all education system that creates these kinds of political battles.
I'm not like of this defeatist spirit that we can't turn things around, and that's why we all have a voice. We can all do something. We can pray, or we can send emails to our councillors and to our mayors. We can participate in marches, but everybody has a responsibility, and let's do something, guys. Let's change the direction of what's taking place here.
They want us dead. They want us dead. They don't want us dead. I was told when I was in high school I should
We are standing for a small principle matter. It's how to leave our kids alone. Simply, as parents, the one who determined and to decide to have a children in the first place, no one can take that right away from us on how to raise our children. We're not pro-abortion. We're not baby killers. We brought those kids to life. We are the one who will defend and protect and provide them with everything they need, including education. SOGI 1 through 3 is a devil agenda taking place into our kids' class. It's a communist ideology. They're trying to push it into our kids' schools and university. We cannot let this happen. We cannot let this take place in this country. As an immigrant who came to this country 25 plus years ago, I could tell you the taste of the freedom we are losing in this country because I faced it back there. I could tell you the taste of the dictatorship because we've seen it there. And this country is going downhill and they're poisoning the kids' mind. While you and I were paying attention to the adult matter, they're going into our kids' school and poisoning our kids' mind. The divisions they're creating now, not between black and white, not between native and immigrant, not between far right and far left. The divisions they are creating between the family, the father and the mother, and the son and the daughter. And we must stop them. Our kids, our right. Our kids, our right. Our kids, our choice. Our kids, our choice. Thousand people in the street. Time to stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Well, as you can see, the march is taking place. A number of speeches have taken place. The crowd has grown throughout the day. In the earlier portions of the day, the counter-protesters outnumbered the members of the Million March for Children significantly. Now the numbers have swelled, and they're about even with at least 100 attending on each side. We had the opportunity to speak with some people, garner their perspective. For all of our coverage on the story right across Canada, we've had teams everywhere covering this protest. Go to stopclassroomgrooming.com. And as always, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. Unfortunately, because some of our journalists have encountered some less than pleasant counter-protesters at past events, and there are very credible threats against us, we have to hire security in order to report on some of these events. If you want to chip in and help us be able to come out here, as people are yelling at me in the background, if you're able to help us hire security so that we can cover events like this, provide the other side of the story, you can do so at journalistdefensefund.com.